A man walked into my office at 70. His shoulders were low, voice quiet, and his first words cut deeper than most lab reports ever could. "Dr. Prescott, I just don't feel like a man anymore." He wasn't talking about pride. He wasn't chasing youth. He was describing something deeper: the slow fading of vitality, drive, connection. He had no energy in the morning, no motivation. Intimacy felt like a memory. And like many good men I've seen over the years, he chalked it up to aging. But here's the thing, and it still surprises even seasoned doctors like myself. Within just 24 hours, something began to change. And it started with one simple food he added to his breakfast. My name's Dr. Jonathan Prescott, and after more than 30 years walking beside men in their 50s, 60s, and beyond, I've come to believe one powerful truth: aging doesn't rob your strength. Neglect does. And most men are neglecting the very thing their body is quietly begging for, not because they're careless, but because they were told the wrong things about food, about health, about what getting old means. Today, I want to help you unlearn the myths and remember this: the real reason you feel tired, disconnected, or less like yourself might not be aging at all. It might be what's missing from your plate every morning. In this message, I'll reveal the one everyday food that supports testosterone, improves blood flow, and reawakens male vitality naturally. I'll show you exactly what starts happening in your body within 24 hours, 7 days, and 30 days of adding it to your morning, and why most men over 60 have been unknowingly avoiding it for decades. So if you're a man over 60 who wants to feel stronger, sharper, and more alive again, not like you're chasing your past, but stepping boldly into your present, stay with me. This may be the turning point you've been waiting for.
1. The one food that awakens male vitality after 60. Let me tell you what I told Richard, the man who came into my office feeling like he'd lost his edge. You don't need a prescription. You need a better breakfast. It sounds too simple, I know, but the truth is, some of the most powerful medicine nature ever created doesn't come in a bottle. It comes in a shell. Yes, I'm talking about eggs. Not some exotic herb, not a trendy superfood, just plain, honest, humble eggs. And for older men, they may be the most underappreciated health tool we have. Why? Because as we age, several key systems in the male body start to slow down, and eggs help restart all three: testosterone production, muscle maintenance, and circulation and blood flow. And they do it without fancy marketing, without cost, and without side effects. Let's talk about what's inside those eggs. Each one is a compact package of exactly what a man over 60 needs: high-quality protein, which your muscles are starving for as you age; leucine, a powerful amino acid that triggers muscle repair, especially in areas that affect balance, strength, and even intimacy; choline, critical for brain health, nerve function, and the production of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter tied to mood, alertness, and blood flow; and yes, cholesterol, the kind your body needs to make testosterone. I know, for years you were told to avoid eggs, that cholesterol was the enemy, but the science has changed, and truthfully, it should never have been demonized in the first place. Because that cholesterol in the yolk, it's the raw material your body uses to build testosterone, the hormone that drives your energy, your motivation, your morning function, and your sense of self as a man. When we deprive our bodies of those nutrients, we don't just get tired. We lose connection to who we are. But when we start putting those nutrients back in with something as simple as 2 eggs every morning, the body begins to respond. You don't feel like a different person. You feel like yourself again, the way you remember. That's what happened with Richard. That's what I've seen happen with hundreds of other men. And it's not a miracle. It's just biology finally getting what it needs. But what's most remarkable isn't just what eggs contain, it's how fast they work once you give them to your body. So in the next part, I'll show you what starts to change, often within the first 24 hours, and how these small internal shifts can rebuild your strength, your mood, and even your intimacy, one morning at a time.
2. Why eggs boost erection strength and testosterone naturally. When Richard returned a month later, I could tell something had changed before he even opened his mouth. He stood taller. His eyes were brighter. His handshake had that quiet firmness you don't fake. But it was what he said that stayed with me. "Doc, I didn't just get my energy back. I got my marriage back." That moment reminded me, this isn't just about food. It's about a man reconnecting with who he is, with the parts of life that matter most. So what exactly do eggs have to do with all of this? Let's break it down. It comes down to 3 key systems that begin to falter as we age and how eggs support each one. 1. Testosterone production. Testosterone isn't just about sex. It's about energy, drive, confidence, and identity. And to make testosterone, your body needs building blocks, especially cholesterol and choline, both of which are found in egg yolks. The very thing men were told to avoid, the yolk, is what helps them bring them back to life. Without enough cholesterol and dietary fat, testosterone dips, libido fades, muscle shrinks, bones weaken, mood drops. Eggs help reverse that, naturally, safely, and effectively. 2. Blood flow. Arousal, energy, and mental clarity all rely on healthy circulation. Eggs contain choline, which helps produce acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that supports muscle contraction and blood vessel dilation. It's what helps your heart pump strong and your brain stay sharp. And yes, it's essential for erection strength and consistency, especially in the morning. 3. Muscle and nerve function. Eggs are rich in leucine, an amino acid that flips the switch for muscle repair and growth, including the muscles of the pelvic floor and lower body, which are directly tied to male performance. When these systems start firing together, testosterone, blood flow, muscle responsiveness, men feel awake again, confident, capable, fully alive. And here's the most exciting part. These changes aren't slow. Many men start noticing improvements within a few days. Firmer mornings, more drive, better focus. Not because of some pill, but because biology is finally working with them again. But what exactly does this transformation look like over time? In the next part, I'll show you, day by day, what happens in the body after just 24 hours, 7 days, and 30 days of fueling yourself right.
3. What happens in your body after 24 hours, 7 days, and 30 days? Here's something I remind my patients often, especially the men who think they're too far gone. The male body never gives up on you. It's just waiting for you to give it what it needs. Once you start feeding it the right way, consistently, not perfectly, it starts responding faster than you'd think. Let me walk you through what I've seen happen in hundreds of men who started their day with the right kind of fuel, beginning with 2 whole eggs. Within 24 hours, your body begins absorbing choline and leucine, signaling the brain to restore neurotransmitter activity. Blood flow starts to improve, suddenly but noticeably. Some men feel a bit more alert that night. If you've been chronically under-eating protein or skipping breakfast, this shift can feel like a fog lifting. You might sleep a little deeper that night. This is your body saying, "Thank you. Let's begin." By day 7, testosterone production begins picking up as your body gets a steady stream of raw materials, protein, cholesterol, fats. Many men report more stable energy, more clarity in the morning, and the return of morning firmness. Your muscles, especially in the legs and pelvic area, start responding better. You may feel a renewed sense of calm confidence, not hype, just stability. Think of this like a fire starting to glow again. By day 30, your metabolism stabilizes, you recover faster, your posture improves without thinking. Blood vessel function improves, helping regulate pressure and performance in every sense. Testosterone levels tend to rise naturally, not to teenage levels, but to functional levels that support real vitality. And perhaps most importantly, your confidence returns. You're not trying to be who you were at 30. You're becoming a stronger version of who you are now, a man with wisdom, strength, and presence. That's what Richard experienced. That's what I've seen again and again. Not from gimmicks, not from shortcuts, just from giving the body what it was missing.
4. Why most seniors feel weak and why it's not their fault. Let me say something plainly, and I hope it stays with you. It's not your fault. If you're a man over 60 and you've been feeling tired, disconnected, or not quite yourself, you've probably blamed it on age. Maybe you've said, "I guess this is just what getting old feels like." Or worse, "I'm not the man I used to be." I've sat across from too many men, strong men, who carried that same quiet shame, and every time I tell them the truth. You're not broken, you were misled. For decades, men were told to fear fat, to throw out the egg yolks, to skip breakfast, or survive on toast and orange juice. You were told to eat less, move more, and tough it out. Meanwhile, your testosterone fell. Your muscles shrank. Your circulation slowed. And little by little, your energy, mood, and drive disappeared. Not because you were aging too fast, but because your body was being starved of the very nutrients it needed to stay strong, steady, and male. When I see a man skipping breakfast or eating cereal with skim milk, I don't see discipline. I see nutritional neglect, passed down by outdated guidelines and fear-driven headlines. And the cost? Loss of strength, loss of confidence, loss of connection. But here's the part that matters. You can turn this around. And it doesn't take supplements, surgeries, or starting over. It takes a small shift, starting with the way you fuel your mornings. When you stop fearing cholesterol, when you stop skipping protein, when you begin feeding your body like a man again, something changes. Your body doesn't resist, it responds. Your blood flows stronger. Your brain gets clearer. Your eyes lift again. So please hear me, man to man. You haven't lost your power. You've just been living without the truth. But now that you have it, you're no longer stuck. Because once a man begins to nourish himself with purpose, something deep begins to awaken. And that's not theory, that's experience. Let me show you what that awakening looks like in real life.
5 real stories from men over 70 who got their power back. There's something sacred about hearing another man's story, especially when it sounds like your own. That's why I want to tell you about Harold. He was 73 when we first met, a retired farmer, hands thick with calluses, heart full of quiet grit. He didn't complain. He just looked at me and said, "Doc, I'm not trying to be 30 again. I just want to feel like I can start my day without struggling." That honesty hit me harder than any lab result ever could. So we began with something simple. 2 eggs, some avocado, bit of protein. Nothing dramatic, just fuel given with intention. 3 weeks later, Harold walked back in with a different look in his eye. His gait was steadier. His handshake had strength again. He said, "I feel awake in the morning now." My wife noticed. I noticed. I didn't think this was possible at my age. And then there's Bernard, 76, a retired school principal who had quietly withdrawn from his own life. He told me he'd stopped reaching for his wife's hand at night, not out of anger, just a fading of connection, like something inside him had gone quiet. We rebuilt his morning routine with simple, powerful food, real nutrients, no pills, no pressure. 30 days later, Bernard said something I'll never forget. "We're laughing again. I'm holding her hand again, and I don't feel ashamed anymore." That's the real transformation. Not just firmer mornings or stronger muscles, though those come too, but something deeper. A man regaining his sense of wholeness, his sense of worth. I've seen it in dozens of men, from 60 to 85, and in every case, it started the same way. Not with a drastic life overhaul, but with a decision to eat with purpose, to reclaim the morning, to stop giving up on themselves. So if they're reading this and thinking, "Could that be me?" I'll tell you what I tell every patient who sits in front of me with that same look of quiet doubt. Yes, it absolutely can. And I'll show you how, step by step, starting with tomorrow morning's meal.
6. Your morning meal plan for male performance. After decades of listening to men share their struggles, from fatigue to fading intimacy to simply not feeling like themselves, I can tell you this with full confidence. The way you start your morning determines how the rest of your day and life will unfold. Most men over 60 are unknowingly sabotaging their strength before they even finish breakfast. Some skip it. Others reach for toast, jam, or a bowl of sugary cereal. And some just settle for coffee and call it fuel. But here's what your body, especially your male body, is truly asking for: protein, healthy fat, and nutrients that support testosterone, blood flow, and muscle function. So let me give you the exact morning meal I recommend to every man over 60 who wants to feel strong, clear-headed, and confident again. Your morning meal plan for energy, hormones, and performance. 1. 2 whole eggs. Cooked however you like, scrambled in olive oil, poached, or hard-boiled. Do not throw out the yolks. That's where your body gets the cholesterol and choline it needs to produce testosterone and neurotransmitters that affect mood, arousal, and mental clarity. Eggs are your foundation. Simple, honest, powerful. 2. Half an avocado. Rich in healthy fats, magnesium, and potassium. This supports smooth blood flow, nerve function, and keeps blood pressure in check, all critical for energy and male performance. Plus, it keeps you full without slowing you down. 3. Half a cup of plain Greek yogurt, high in protein and probiotics. This helps your gut absorb nutrients better, which is vital for testosterone production, muscle repair, and even sleep quality. Sprinkle a pinch of cinnamon if you like. It helps regulate blood sugar and adds a little warmth to your gut. 4. A small bowl of oats with walnuts or chia seeds.
Oats provide steady energy and contain arginine, a compound that boosts nitric oxide, the molecule that helps blood vessels relax and expand. Top with a tablespoon of crushed walnuts for omega-3s, or a teaspoon of chia seeds for fiber and minerals. Why this meal works. This isn't about dieting. It's about feeding your body like a man who still wants to live with purpose. You're giving yourself the protein to rebuild strength, the fats to support hormones, and the micronutrients to keep your heart, brain, and muscles working together as they were designed to. And over time, this one simple meal becomes something more, a signal to your body, I'm still here, I'm not giving up. You'll start noticing more stable energy through the day, less brain fog, more consistent morning function, and a quiet, grounded confidence that lasts. I've seen this happen with men in their 60s, 70s, and even into their 80s. And the best part is, you don't need to count calories or cut out entire food groups. You just need to start your day with intention. Because when you give your body the right fuel, it stops fighting you and starts working with you. But before we finish, there's one last question we need to answer, maybe the most important one. What happens if you ignore this? What's breaking down in your body behind the scenes, day after day, when it doesn't get the support it needs? That's what I'll walk you through next, in the final, most important message I can give you as a doctor and as a fellow man.
7. Doctor's final message. There's a kind of pain I see in many men over 60, one that doesn't show up on a blood test. It's not the pain of injury. It's not even the pain of illness. It's the pain of drift, the quiet ache of slipping away from the man you used to be and not knowing how to get him back. I've seen it in their eyes, that distant look, that silent question, is this just who I am now? And if that's you, if you've ever felt like your strength, your drive, your dignity have been quietly fading, then let me be clear, no. This is not the end of your story. Your body is not finished. Your spirit is not broken. And your best years are not behind you. They're waiting for you to show up. Reclaiming your manhood after 60 isn't about chasing youth. It's not about pretending. It's about respecting the man you've become and giving him the fuel, the care, and the truth he deserves. And it starts with something simple. A choice you make in the morning, not for vanity, not for ego, but for vitality, for connection, for strength. Every egg is a promise. Every time you crack an egg and sit down to that breakfast, the one you now know your body has needed for years, you're not just eating. You're making a quiet declaration. I'm not giving up on myself. And that choice, repeated day after day, can build a foundation stronger than any supplement or slogan ever could. Because this isn't about perfection. This is about presence. Being present in your life, in your body, in your relationships, in your mornings, in your moments of joy. If you've made it this far, then I want to thank you. Not just for reading, but for caring enough to consider that maybe, just maybe, the man you used to be isn't gone. He's just been waiting for better fuel, for better truth, for one small step in a new direction. And now that you have it, the only question left is, what will tomorrow morning look like? Because it can look like every other day, or it can be the start of something better, stronger, clearer, and more alive. 8. Conclusion. I've spent a lifetime watching men come back to life, not through miracle pills, but through knowledge, consistency, and that deep human decision to say, I still matter, and I'm not done yet. So if this message spoke to you, share it. Pass it on to a brother, a friend, a father, a son.
Because this isn't just about eggs. This is about men reclaiming themselves, one breakfast, one breath, one brave choice at a time. And I'll be here for you every step of the way. You've got more in you. Now go remind the world.